Story time about how I caught my husband cheating on me with our very young nanny. I'm 45 years old and my husband is 10 years younger than me. When we first got married, my friends kept telling me not to marry someone so much younger. They told me that he would eventually cheat and leave me for someone younger. I refused to believe this hope because my husband and I really loved each other, or at least I thought. We met at a party a few years ago and he made the first move right away. He asked me out on a date and a few weeks later we became boyfriend and girlfriend. A few years after that we got married, and after years of trying we finally got pregnant and had twins. They are both 2 years old now. My husband's job requires him to travel a lot. I own a really big salon and business is good, so we have a pretty good life and are able to afford a lot of things for our kids. Since my husband travels, my schedule has to be really flexible. I take care of the kids in the morning and then I go off to work, leaving them with the nanny. Our first nanny was a lot older and she had lots of experience, but she unexpectedly quit on us, so we had to find another one. We decided to look for one of those nanny agencies. We ended up interviewing about 5 nannies, but my husband was set on one of them and she was the youngest out of all of them, 18. Oh yeah, and the most attractive too. My husband told me that maybe we should try someone younger so that the kids can have fun, and I said yes. The nanny would cover for me for about 4 hours a day when I was at work. Her and I started to get along really well. She would tell me about her boy troubles and I would give her advice. The nanny and I started to become really good friends. I even started telling her about the problems I was having with my husband. Little did I know that she was the problem. Like I said in part 1, my husband travels a lot. This is what we would usually fight about. You see, it was actually really easy for him to travel less. All he had to do was pick a different region for his job. Instead of a 6-hour flight, it could have been a 2-hour trip. His excuse was that he would get paid less. When I was telling the nanny about our issues, she told me that I should just let it go and let my husband have his freedom. But the way she said it really bothered me. I ended the conversation and told her that she could go home. When my husband came home, I mentioned to him what the nanny said. I told him that I didn't like the way she told me that I needed to give him his freedom. He started to laugh and said, "She's just a young girl. She's probably just saying what she thinks you need to hear." I decided to listen to my husband and I let it go. A week later, the nanny comes over to take care of the kids. By the way, as soon as she would come to my house, I would serve her a plate of food or make her anything she wanted before I left to work. She sat down to eat, I could see her messages on her phone, and the name on the messages was the same as my husband's. I asked her why she was messaging my husband and she quickly put her phone in her purse. When I asked her why she was messaging my husband on her phone, she did not know what to say. I asked her if she was okay. Then she replies with, "I just needed some advice for my car." She was so nervous. I asked her to pull out her phone and give it to me. That's when she said no and started putting up a fight. She told me I had no right to check her phone, but I didn't believe her. I ripped her purse from her hands and grabbed the phone. Before I even have a chance to look at the messages, she starts calling me fat and old, and that my husband is planning to leave me for her. Honestly, what she was saying didn't faze me because my goal was to look at the messages, and she was pretty much right. In the messages, my husband promised her to leave me for her, and that he was sick of me and the kids. I begin to scroll up and see all of the pictures that they sent each other. You can imagine what they were. By the way, the nanny was only a day from turning 18. Yep. Out of nowhere, she starts breaking plates and glasses and verbally abusing me. She even said that if I didn't leave him alone, that something bad would happen to me. I grabbed her by the arm and threw her out of the house, but I kept her phone, so I called my husband from the phone. When he hears my voice, he hangs up the phone. When he finally got home, we got into a 6-hour fight. I made him leave the house, but apparently the nanny went crazy. She started stalking him and he had to get a restraining order against her. Serves him right. Her parents are threatening to press charges. I don't want my kids to grow up without a father, but I don't want to get back with him. What should I do?
Storytime about how I almost got kidnapped at a grocery store. So a little background information, I was 16 and it was during the summertime, and I was super excited because I had just got my license, but my parents had this idea that if they made me drive around and do all their errands, that I would be a better driver. So I was pretty much like their bitch. Anyway, so the one night my mom wanted to make this recipe that she saw on TikTok, and she didn't have the right seasonings for it, so who did she tell to go to the store? Yours truly, me. And on Sundays, the mini market that was in our town would close at 4 o'clock. So I had to drive like 30 minutes away to the nearest Target. And when I got there, I had to park in the back because they had like 10 handicap spaces up front, another 10 for when you sit there and they bring your shit out to you, and another 5 whenever you're picking something up that you already ordered. But in all honesty, that didn't bother me because I had never heard about any girls getting trafficked at a grocery store. So like I said, I parked all the way in the back of the parking lot. I mean, okay, not all the way in the back, but I was damn near close. So I go in, and I'm not too familiar with this Target. I've only been here a few times because the mini market in my hometown is usually the one that I go to. So I'm looking around, and I realize that there's this little girl following me. But it seemed like she was more like keeping an eye on me. Like she would stand like 20 feet behind me, but just like stare at me, peek through the aisles. And she did that for like 10 minutes, but whenever I finally went up to the checkout, she was gone, and this woman came up to me. She was like, "Oh my gosh, have you seen my daughter? She was running around the store. I don't know where she is." So I described the little girl to her that I saw, And she was like, yeah, that's her. I can't find her. Will you please help me look for her? And I didn't have the time for this because my parents were going to wring my neck, but I said, so like I said, she asked me to help look for her daughter, and I was like, I'm going to go tell a Target employee. And she was like, no, don't worry. They're all already looking. They have security all over the place. And she was like, will you help me check the parking lot because I don't know if she left. She was like, I've been having them look for the past 10 minutes. So I didn't think anything of this because I didn't think that some lady would try to kidnap me. So I went into the parking lot with her and I'm like, okay, where do you think she would have went? Like, did you drive here? Did she maybe go to the car? And she was like, no, we live like 5 minutes down the road. Do you think that we could get in your car and drive around? And I said, yeah, because I thought that it would speed up the process. And my dad's truck was really high off the ground. So while we're walking, I'm like, I think someone's under my car. And she was like, what? No, it's probably just the shadow. And I'm like, no, there's someone under my car. So I turn around to walk back into the store and she starts like pulling my arm towards my car. So an employee called the police whenever I went in there, and long story short, they were trying to kidnap me.
Found out boyfriend 29 male has secret tattoo of friend's name. Gosh, I don't know what to think about this. My boyfriend Tom 29 male and I 29F have been together for 3 years. Tom was military and went through a pretty nasty divorce 3 years before we met. Through it, he relied heavily on a close friend Jessica to get through it, who was also going through a divorce. Tom and Jess are very, very close. Tom has admitted he had strong feelings for Jess, but things just never worked out, and his friends have said in the past that Jess was clearly into him. Jess and Tom talk regularly, hang out regularly, anything friends would. I have never really had an issue with their relationship. While at first I was cautious because of this history and his admitting to having feelings, they are very respectful. Jess is delightful, kind, funny, and just great to be around. She is also an absolute stunner. I'm not frumpy by any means and get plenty of attention, but around Jess anyone would feel inferior. I enjoy being around Jess, and she and I occasionally hang out without Tom. Regardless of their history, Tom and Jess are just friends and I have no reason to think they're more. But last night, Tom had just finished a volleyball tournament and had just gotten out the showers. It was sand volleyball and his feet were pretty torn up, so he was cleaning them, and I saw the bottom of his foot. I have no idea how I've never seen this, but he has Jessica's name tattooed on the bottom of his foot like he's Woody from Toy Story or something. I don't know why this bothered me, but immediately all the blood left my face. I just stood there, my mouth agape. Tom noticed and asked what was wrong, and I asked him how long he had that tattoo. He laughed, clearly not reading my reaction, and asked how I had never noticed it, and explained that when he was single and out one night with Jess and a bunch of friends, he was pretty drunk and got it as a joke. Now this is where I probably made a mistake. I should have left it at that. But I didn't buy it, so I pressed a little. I think he could tell I was a bit caught up about it because he was a bit sheepish, but he folded pretty quickly. Apparently he was drunk and in his feelings, and this was in the height of his interest in Jess. He explained that she said something about being jealous cause he was dancing with another girl, and he said he'd always be hers, to which she laughed. He, in his drunken state, said, for real, I'd tattoo your name on my foot if I had to, and she said fuck, that would be hot, and they ditched their friends and went to a shop, and he did it that night. He explained he was a bit embarrassed by it at first because when they sobered up it felt a bit thirsty, which OMG it is, but since him and Jess find it a funny joke from a tumultuous time in their lives. God, I should not have asked for more details and he should not have shared as much as he did, but here we are. I was legitimately too stunned to talk. He clearly felt bad. We went to bed without talking much more. I woke up to flowers on the bed this morning. He leaves very early to work out, which was sweet, but I'm still a bit in my head about this. We're supposed to go to a concert with Jess and her boyfriend tomorrow, but I cannot stop thinking about that tattoo. I guess when he said they were into each other I did not realize it was that into each other. I don't really know what to think. I went from not feeling even remotely concerned about Jess to feeling like I would be competing with her forever. Tom has a bunch of tattoos and the vast majority of them are just impulse tattoos with no meaning. Whenever people ask about tattoos he's like fuck it, just get whatever, life is short, blah blah blah, but it's so hard for me to shed the meaning behind this one, even if it is a joke. Short version, boyfriend of 3 years has best friend that he has some quasi-romantic history with. I discovered a tattoo of her name on his foot and had some weird feelings about it. The night I made the post, I was actually at my mother's house, as I have dinner with her once a week. There was a really bad storm and I got rained in and stayed there for the night, which was bad timing. The next day, Tom and I were supposed to go to a concert with Jess and her boyfriend. Now a few things that came up in the last post. First, I trust Tom and he has said in the past nothing happened between him and Jess. The tattoo doesn't make me doubt that. My sense from the conversations with Tom and with friends in the past is that Tom and Jess were mutually into each other, but it just never panned out. Tom has never gave me any indication that he'd leave me for Jess if the opportunity came, and I spent some time thinking about it and stand by that. Second, I don't think Tom was actively hiding the tattoo from me. He seemed surprised I hadn't noticed it before, and I don't know how I haven't. But nothing gave me indication that it was a secret I was never meant to see. Anyways, Friday morning I got home and Tom and I talked before work. I explained to him how I was feeling, that the tattoo surprised me and it made me have feelings that I wasn't really understanding. He was super apologetic that he had never brought it up explicitly and made it clear he really thought I had noticed before and just didn't care. He said he felt silly for assuming that and that he will communicate better. I had every intent of telling him I'd like him to have it removed, but before I could say anything he told me he'd spent all night looking at different places to do tattoo removal and that he could tell it upset me and he was planning on getting it taken off. He was showing me a place on his phone and said they'd done some really good removals he felt good about. Some people had suggested that in the first place, and I had done a little reading about tattoo removal and everything said it would be worse than the tattoo itself. So I asked him if it would hurt and he goes, yeah, probably a lot. The tattoo was shit to be honest, but if it'll make you feel better it's worth it. He always says the right things. We talked about it a little and it would be multiple sessions and a couple $1,000s. But the last thing I want is for him to go through the pain cause I'm being silly, so I told him he didn't need to do that and he'd better take me on a nice date for the money he saved, joking of course, to make it up to me. We had a nice breakfast together and off to work we went. As a little extra, at the concert Jess and I scooted off to the bathroom together and to grab more drinks and she and I were talking and she apologized to me for the tattoo. She reaffirmed that she's very happy with her boyfriend and that her and Tom is long in the past and that she loves him but they are much better off as friends. She was a little boozy so she got into how much she loves me and Tom together and how happy she sees that I make him. Honestly it was really sweet, and it helped. I didn't really press but I imagine Thursday night Tom talked it through with her to try and figure out what to do. I think some people might try to make it nefarious but I really appreciated that she took the time to reassure me and make me feel better about it. All in all, I think Tom will probably still get the tattoo removed without telling me about it, but I'm not really worried about it. He makes me feel so important and loved and I don't want something this minor to get in the way of it for me. I've done some regrettable and silly things when I was in a bad place. I'm just lucky enough that it's not branded on me forever, so I'm doing my best not to hold it against him.
Am I wrong for refusing to let my husband's infertile friend name our son? My husband's 33 male best friend, Will, 37 male, is infertile. He got divorced 2 times because of it, and because he lied and hid his infertility. And his life hasn't been the same the day he was told he can't have kids. He has always had a soft spot for children, and when he found out that my husband and I were expecting, he was so thrilled and started buying us gifts and decor pieces that he made from his woodwork for the baby. My husband thinks that those are all nice gestures, but I couldn't help but feel uncomfortable, especially with how much he keeps mentioning the baby. A few days ago, my husband and I found the gender of the baby. The moment we told Will, he started calling the baby a random name he picked and was going to give to his baby if he wasn't infertile. He then started begging us to use this name, and my husband said it was a done deal. I refused, but my husband called me heartless and asked me to do this one small, nice gesture for his struggling friend to give him closure and honor him after all the things he has done for us. I flipped and said, it's my baby, not his. Will heard this and left immediately. My husband yelled at me saying it's his baby too, and my behavior towards Will was aberrant. He left after him and didn't come back till the next morning. He kept saying the same thing and pressuring me to agree on the name, but I refused. Am I the asshole for choosing this hill to die on? Okay, I don't think you should be mad at Will. I think you should be mad at your husband for just automatically agreeing to it and not discussing it with you first.
I get off of work one night about 10:30 or so and I head to the gym. Now, before I work out, I like to use a little recreational medicine, if you know what I mean. But on this particular night, I'd forgotten a lighter. And I know what you're thinking, fucking amateur. Trust me. I was just as disappointed as you are. In my luck, there's a gas station right down the street. I drove there in a haste, and upon my arrival at the sliding glass doors, a woman cries out, "They're closed!" I turned to the woman, I said, "Madam, is there any chance you have a lighter?" She goes, "No, honey, I don't. I'm sorry." Just when I thought all hope was lost, a man cries out, "I got you, brother." I turned to a man approaching me in a bright green construction vest. I thought to myself, now this looks like a simple, honest working man. But tonight, he's my hero. He makes his way towards me, and right before he hands me the letter, he lights a blunt in my face. As he hands me the letter, I look in his eyes, and I think he could tell by the way I was looking at him that I was saying, "Damn, bro. I didn't know you was chill like that." I take it, I go over to my car, and I take a hit out of my makeshift water bottle device. I turn around and hand him back his lighter, and he had a look in his eyes that was saying, "Damn, bro." Because he didn't know I was chill like that. He said, "Yo, what you smoking on?" I said, "I don't even know, bro, but it's gas. You want some?" He said, "Nah. I got Wedding Crasher right here. You want some?" I said, "Hell yeah, I want some. In fact, I want half, and I'll give you some of mine." He said, "Nah, I got you, brother." Over the next 15-20 minutes, we shared a blunt in the middle of a Shell parking lot, half a mile from a police station in the middle of Franklin, Tennessee. People don't do that here. But we did. We told each other about our days. He had a 12-hour construction shift. I had a 12-hour serving shift. His back hurt. My feet hurt. He told me about his dumbass coworkers. I told him about the dumbass people I waited on. We didn't get to know each other much, but I validated the work that he put in that day. He validated the work that I put in that day. And we both made each other feel like the grind that we were on was worth it. It was just two strangers that took a second to breathe and relax and show some kindness. In the end, he said, "You have a good night, my brother." I said, "You have a good night, my friend." We went our separate ways, not knowing each other's names, not knowing if we would ever see each other again. But that was the beauty of it. That was the beauty.
Okay, if you go to Bali, do not buy a dodgy vape off a guy on the beach, okay? Because I did, and it was the worst night of my whole life. So I was with my friends, we're chilling at Finn's Beach Club, we're right on like the day bed that was closest to the beach. And I was like closest to the beach, like I was right on the end. And this guy comes up to us a few times and asks for one of my vapes. And I'm like, nah, I'm not wanting one. And then Ellie started vaping and I was like, I don't usually vape, but I get FOMO, okay? And I saw her vaping and I was like, I think I want one of them. So the guy comes over and I like wave him down and he comes over and he looks so stoned. Like his eyes are bright red. He's walking around like this. Don't know why I didn't like sirens didn't go off in my head. Like maybe don't get a vape from this guy. But anyway, so he comes over, we're bartering and I get him down to like 17 AUD. And he's like, okay, done. He goes gets his boss who comes over and I don't know, has the cash, the change for me. And I take the vape and I open it in front of him. He's still standing there. I'm like, that's weird. Why is he still standing there? Like I'm giving him the money, whatever. Anyway, so I'm opening the vape and he's like, oh, I'll take the rubbish for you. Again, don't know why. I didn't think red flag. Why the fuck was he wanting the rubbish so badly? Anyway, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like that just makes my life easier. So give him the rubbish, which was like a box and also like the silver packaging. Anyway, I start vaping, all is well. I probably took like 20 puffs over the next like few hours. We went out to dinner and it wasn't until I sat down at dinner that I was like, guys, like I'm really struggling to breathe. Like it hurts, my lungs hurt. Anyway, they're like, okay, no more vaping, like put that away, stop it now, like whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. So we go home and I'm lying in bed and I am like lying on my back and I'm like, as soon as it gets like more than halfway filled, like my lungs, it felt like there were knives in my lungs. Like it was so painful. Ellie was asleep next to me and I obviously wasn't gonna wake her up, but I was literally Googling like 911 in Bali, like what the number was. And I was Googling like dodgy vape Bali, like dodgy vapes in Bali, like I don't know, just like different things of that. And I couldn't find anything. Anyway, there was like all these things that came up. I was like, why do my lungs feel like there's knives in it? Or like, why can you get like lung disease or I don't know, all this stuff I was Googling. And like all this bad stuff started coming up saying like, take yourself to hospital, go to hospital right now. Like this is not normal, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, holy shit, what do I do? So I was lying in bed, like literally stressing all night because I was scared to fall asleep because I thought I was gonna die. Anyway, I obviously didn't die. All was well. I woke up the next day a little bit sore still, but then by the next day, it was gone. But I'm never vaping again. Mark my words. I'm never doing it again. No, it was not good. I thought I was actually going to die. But it's okay, I'm here. I've been given a second chance and I'm not vaping again.
School wants my son's Facebook password and email, also wants us to hand over any phone or computer that he's had access to in the last year. WTF, Florida. My son is 15. Today I received a phone call from the school telling me that they are doing an investigation into a series of very serious incidents that happened last year and they would like to have the password for my son's Facebook account, also asking me to disable two-step verification if his account has it. They also said it would really be a great help if I hand over any phones, tablets or computers that my son has had access to in the last year, removing any passcode or login restriction. I was shocked about hearing this. I asked about the incident and I was told that they can't tell me since it doesn't directly concern my son, that they only seek this to see if there has been any mention of it in the communications that my son has had with his friends which might help them uncover some information. I declined. Told them that I'm happy to talk to them about the incident in person if it concerns my son, but other than that this is very unreasonable and really none of our business. I was told something along the lines of, I strongly recommend you to help us. This is a very serious issue for a few other students and to be honest with you, refusal will have some consequences. I'm mostly talking about your son's future at the school in the coming school year but also potentially legally. I really hope you cooperate for all our sake. I told her to send us what they want in writing. She said that she hopes we're not trying to make this difficult as lives are on the line here. I insisted that I want it for my records. She said they might do that. So my question is, WTF? They can't be serious about this. My instinct is to get a lawyer if we received anything in writing, but really what I'm wondering about is how far can they go in this so-called investigation? Let's say when school starts, my son takes a phone or iPad to school? Can they confiscate and look through it? Can they force him to reveal the passcode to it or force him to use his fingerprint to unlock? How do I make sure they can't just invade our privacy like that? Update WTF, Florida. I went to school and asked what's going on. I did that both to confirm that the call was genuine and to see why they want to violate my son and our family's privacy on such a massive scale. First, the call was genuine and it wasn't a scam. Second, the principal explained the situation to me. It had to do with another student who attempted suicide because of bullying during the summer. Thank goodness she is now all right and has since moved to another school, but this was part of the school's investigation to figure out how it happened. When I asked how is it any of my son's business, they said they've seen them hang out together and while they don't think my son was involved in the bullying himself, they'd like to read his conversations with her because she may have confided in him about the students involved in bullying. I asked why this information wasn't obtained from the parents of that student. The answer was that they weren't willing to work with the school about it and she had left so they had no power, strange use of words in this situation, over them. I told them to leave my son out of this witch hunt and the way they're speaking to us they sound like they're trying to bully us into helping their anti-bullying investigation, which is troubling and absurd. I told them that if they ever approach my son or try to take his phone or anything by force or threat I'm going to make a big deal out of this, talk to the superintendent and hire a lawyer. Up until this day, they haven't said or done a thing. I talked to my son about the girl and what happened to her. He knew her and they had some mutual friends but they weren't exactly friends and he wasn't aware of her suicide attempt. He only knew that she had left the school. He showed me their conversations and there wasn't much there except talking about movies and TV shows. In short, they backed off after I made sure they understood that I won't take any harassment or violation of our privacy lightly. Small edit, thanks for the couple of who messaged me the mistake. Someone messaged me and asked me if the parents of the girl had allowed the school to share the suicide news with me. I will try talking to them to make sure. They deserve to know if the school is not respecting their privacy. It's something they seem to be good at.
So I ran into another student's parent today. Yes, maybe I made the situation awkward, but it was not my fault. Buckle up because this is going to be a wild ride. I am leaving the gym. I come to a 4-way stop. I do my due diligence as a citizen and I respect the signs. After I take a full pre-K pause with my car, I proceed through. As I'm in the middle of the intersection, I see a van rolling down the hill. They had to slam on their brakes to avoid from blowing through the stop sign and T-boning me. I don't know why, but I freeze and I stop my car. This person has the audacity to wave me along. Why are you waving me? I had the right of way. You're the one who almost killed me. I don't get road rage. I don't know what possessed me, but I rolled my window down and I look at sister girlfriend in her van. I'm like, I'm sorry. Thank you for waving me along after almost hitting me. I wonder what would happen if we put down our phone and paid attention to the road. She takes off her sunglasses and goes, I am so sorry, Mr. Williams. Fuck, you know? Like, she was in the wrong. I should not have screamed at her. That was rude of me. Somehow this will be my fault, though. I will get called into the principal's office when I'm back at work on Thursday. Teaching's fun.
So I went to my old job today for the first time since I quit, and they are not happy with me. I mean, I didn't expect them to be, but it's funny, and I have tea, so buckle up. Listen, get ready. So I was just running in to grab a few quick things, and I went to the self-checkout, and the guy who was running the self-checkout was someone that I was cool with, so I talked to him a little bit, you know, and then one of the CCs comes over, and she has something to tell me. She goes, you know that TikTok that you made about Garrett? Yeah, well, Michelle talked to me and Garrett about that TikTok. This girl is Garrett's ex-girlfriend. Apparently Michelle said, in quotes, I don't know why she has to leave and start making trashy TikToks and bringing you into it. Trashy? Bitch, what? But to answer your question, Michelle, the reason I left and then started making the TikToks was because if I made the TikToks while I was still working there, I would get in trouble for it. That's why. Because the last time I made a TikTok about a fucked up coworker when I worked there, I almost got fired for it. So, yeah. Because trust me, honey, I am not afraid of opening my big trashy mouth and speaking my mind. And I will do it to your face. So give me a call. I know you have my number, Michelle. Since you're still talking about me, you're still talking shit to your employees, which is mad fucking weird. Mad weird, bro. What the fuck? But Garrett's ex-girlfriend, while I was talking to her and she was telling me all of this, she was like, "Are you sure it was Garrett?" And I was like, "Yeah, positive, 100%, no doubt." And then she goes, "Oh, well, what was the comment? Because I didn't see it before he deleted it." And then I told her, and then she goes, "Oh, well, what was in the video? Like, what'd you say about me? Like, how did I even get brought into it? Because I didn't see the video either." So I explained to her, I was like, "Yeah, I just said, now that he's acting like this, behaving like this, I should probably believe you, his ex-girlfriend, over him." And this bitch goes, "Do you really, though?" And I said, "I mean, I don't know. I didn't really know what to think. When you guys are both coming at me with your business, it's your guys' business. I didn't ask you guys to tell me your fucking business." I didn't say it to her like that. I was nice. Now I'm regretting it. I should have been mean. But I was nice. Because then, as she's walking away, and as I'm walking away, I didn't really hear exactly what she says, but it was something along the lines of two-faced, blah, blah, blah. Who? Me? The fuck? Anyways, I don't really care, but learn to say it with your chest next time, baby girl.
I can't sleep, so I want to tell you who's keeping me up at night. So, everyone has a first time, right, for everything. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. Why are all of mine bad? My first time meeting an American was when I first came to America when I was 18, and I, landed with my family, and the TSA lady was so nice to my grandma. It was Chicago O'Hare, love her. The second person that I met that was American interrogated me for 4 hours. It's honestly fine. I was a little bit unhealthy when I first moved here, so I wanted to lose some weight, get a little bit healthier, so I wanted to sign up for a gym, right? So my first gym experience... a gym near my college, and I go in and I check it out and everything's fine, right? And I go out and I'm like, oh my god, maybe tomorrow's the day, you know what I mean? Tomorrow's the day that I actually start losing weight. I go to the gym, everything, right? And I'm thinking about this, and I'm having my Rocky moment, you know what I mean? There's music playing in the background, I have a vision, right? And I get fucking run over, that's not right. My first English song that I've ever heard in my life was Lonely by Akon, and the second was Candy's. My first college party. my first college party. I went in and I was a little bit heavier, and I was feeling really awkward, so I leaned in the corner on one of the tables, and I didn't realize that the table had a bunch of alcohol and white powder, you know what I mean? I was such a fob, honestly, fresh off the boat as fuck, you know what I mean? I literally, it was 2 weeks into the country, you know what I mean? And I was just I had no idea, and I just leaned on the table, it fucking collapsed, and it started snowing. Felt so bad. I just clogged. I have asthma, so I just ran out. This is not funny. This is honestly a critique on the American fucking system, okay? First day of class in college, I found out that I didn't fit in the fucking desk. Do you know how embarrassing that is? And I never fucking fit in until I left. It was so fucking mortifying. Is this so hard to have a chair that's separate from a desk? I can fit my legs under a fucking desk, bro. I just don't fit in the little 3 centimeters that you gave me. Fuck. It's so embarrassing. No one sat next to me. This is so embarrassing. No one sat next to me because I would use the fucking chair next to me and the desk. I'm going fucking red. But I would use the chair next to me and the desk next to me as my fucking desk because I didn't fit in my fucking... Well, honestly... Why? I'm paying so much to be embarrassed for what? Okay, there's more, but I don't have enough time, so I'm just gonna list them, you know what I mean? My first time I got on a horse, they didn't have horses at the stable, so they gave me a pony, and when I got on it, I was a little bit heavier, and I was just way big. I broke its legs, okay? I don't know what you want me to say, it's fucking embarrassing. And it sucks because I can't apologize, it's a fucking pony, it's not gonna be oh no, it's fine, Adib,
One thing that really shocked me about Korea is the way that Koreans sleep. I used to date a Korean man, and when I used to visit him in Korea, I would stay with his family, which was his 2 sisters and his parents. One time when I was visiting, it was summer, and I was sleeping in the parents' room. They were kind enough to give me their bedroom, and I had to go out in the middle of the night to get some water. When I walked into the lounge room, I saw his parents and both of his sisters all laying in a row on the hard wooden floor with no pillows. And that was just how they slept. I came to learn that this was something that they did during summer because it was so hot. They would sleep with all of the doors open towards the balcony so that they could get the breeze while they were sleeping. It was just so strange to me at the time. Can you imagine a family doing that in a Western country, laying on the floor with no pillows, like a hard wooden floor? I probably should have mentioned as well that the bed that his parents let me sleep on was actually made of stone, so there was no mattress. It was a stone bed. Just one of the many culture differences that I came across in South Korea.